Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of the country's biggest stars and some of my favourite people. And we've got three of them for you today. Roy Orbison is one of the universe's greatest singers ever. He's got a brand new album out. How? Well, we're about to explain. A Love So Beautiful is the new album, which features the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. And then it goes on tour with Roy Orbison in Dreams. The Hologram UK tour takes place next April 2018. And I'm delighted to say that Roy's sons, Wesley, Roy Jr. and Alex, join us on the programme now. How are you, boys?
Hey,
hello,
great. Hello.
Thanks for having us.
What's it like having a father who is a legend, a genius, an icon, and probably has the greatest voice in pop music ever?
Well, you know, once as an adult, I accepted the fact that I wasn't going to be as great as him, that I really started enjoying it. He was a great father, and, you know, things with him were fantastic, and I just, looking back now, I'm so happy that we got to enjoy him and his ways because he was just such a special person.
I remember interviewing Frank Sinatra Jr. shortly before he died, actually, and I said, what was your dad like? Was he a nice man? We know he was a great singer. Was he a nice man? I'll ask you the same question, Wesley. Was he a great father?
Oh, he was very present, very funny. Yeah, terrific father.
And Alex, when we look at his voice, I mean, do you agree? There's something incredible about it. I tried to sing one of his songs once at karaoke. I won't be doing that again. They're incredibly high, aren't they?
They are. And we were just with Chris Isaac, and Chris said, you know, Roy told me that his trick was that he just started real low. And so that, you know, he thought he wasn't singing as high. And I said, yeah, right, Roy. And it's weird because I never analyzed it growing up because it was always there. But when I look at the performance, and I could really, even the way that my dad sang into the mic and the way when he would apply force, it really drew you in as a performer. So halfway through the song, you were wondering if he's going to hit the note, and you were totally drawn into the lyrics and the ballad and the journey that he would take you on. And it's impossible to find someone who does all of that the way that my dad did.
And I wonder, Roy, about the effect it had on him and that pressure. I remember Larry King once interviewing Pavarotti, and he said to him, do you worry that you'll sound like Pavarotti when you go on stage? Did your dad become neurotic? Because when you've got such an anthemic voice that's so immersive and big, you can't go on stage and sort of phone it in, can you?
No, he never had anything like that. The closest kind of story I could tell is that he was, he told it in his own way. He said, I was always nervous about going on stage. And then one day in Las Vegas, I was going to the show, and it said, Roy Orbison, sold out. And he thought, oh, it's already sold out. I've already won the game. These people must all be here because they like me. I'm just going to go out and relax. And he was also present. He was always so present. It was kind of like a meditation, like a Buddhist monk or something. He could focus so extremely well. And that was one of his great talents. So singing, songwriting, playing guitar. He did quite a lot of things well. Like I've been saying, you wouldn't want to play snooker against this guy. You wouldn't want to play poker. No, he could run a snooker table 3 times. Before you know, so if he didn't want you, if he turned on the fire, you were going to be sitting down for 45 minutes. And he could draw, he could paint. He was kind of a left-handed thinker. He would write me little birthday notes, and you'd have to run. He'd write them backwards. He could write with his right and left hands, but you'd have to go and hold them in the mirror to see. It says "I love you" or "Happy Birthday." Mm-hmm. He could write backwards. You know, so I mention that only because he was just so creative. He could have been an architect or a painter.
Of course, to you, he was just dad. Do you sort of visualize in your minds what he would have been like today? He would have probably been in his early 90s, wouldn't he? Do you think about that, or do you remember him as the star in that iconic sort of picture with the glasses?
Hey, this is Roy. I can tell you what he would have been doing. It's called A Love So Beautiful, Roy Orbison with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. We currently have a top 30 hit with Ward Thomas with the song I Drove All Night. And this would have suited him very well. He would have been back here in Britain, his favorite place in the world. The UK to Roy Orbison is kind of what New York was to John Lennon. It was the home away from home. It was a place where he rebuilt himself into the sophisticated gentleman that he always was. And it was a place that healed him and nurtured him. The people here is what it was all about for him. And he loved the food. And he'd be right here talking to you right now.
And since he's not here, the technology has caught up. We're living in the future. The future's now. And so we do have a hologram tour lined up for 2018 that starts off at the Cardiff Motor Point Arena, and that's around the 8th. It's on the 8th of April. And so the tour runs for a couple weeks across the UK, and the tickets are on sale now. And as abstract as that is, the Roy Orbison show is really all about having that vocal come at you when you're sitting in the chair. And we have the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra to support him. And it affords people the opportunity to maybe see him for the first time, which is truly incredible.
Let's clarify that a little further. Roy Orbison as a hologram will be touring the UK April 2018.
Don't get nervous, boys, by the way. I'd scheduled in 5 minutes to talk about this because last year I was invited to see the Elvis show with the Royal Philharmonic, and it was one of the greatest nights I've ever had in an arena. What they've done with these tunes, and let's face it, they're all anthemic, and to be played by such a massive orchestra is so fitting. I mean, their voices were born to be orchestrated, weren't they, in a way?
They were. And so this we were just in an arena where they cranked up my dad's vocal, and just with nothing, just the vocal, and I was staring at the wall. I was moved to tears, and so I'm very, very much looking forward to this Royal Philharmonic tour. And a lot of people ask what songs we're going to play, and we're going to use the arrangements from the record, and so it's going to come together, and it should be very entertaining, and we're going to be there and to celebrate the kickoff and watch the shows, and we're very excited.
I think it's a three-part thing for me, those kind of concerts. One, it's the orchestra. Two, it's the voice, but the sound guy is just as important. The way they do those shows is remarkable, and certainly with the Elvis show, and that album was such a massive success as this is proving to be. Incredible, isn't it, to hear all those instruments live and perfectly mixed.
At high volume.
Yeah.
At high volume. It's one of the things.
Yeah, and so you hit on it. You're one of the few people that understands what it really means to have a good sound guy with his finger on the vocal fader, and can ride the vocal up and down. I mean, that was one of the things that my dad was a master at the microphone, so he would move his head back and forth, and he would sing softer in the beginning to be vulnerable, so you'd listen more, and then he would really knock you over the head at the end. And so with the combination of the Roy Orbison vocals that we have, and with a good sound man or woman behind that vocal fader, the show should be incredible.
And the hologram thing is fascinating. You just mentioned Las Vegas earlier. I was there a couple of weeks ago, actually. I always think of the stars that played Vegas, and one of them that I was lucky enough to see was Celine, who did the most incredible thing with this technology. She introduced herself, and we didn't know. That's how good it is. It's remarkable what they can do with this.
See, yeah, and it's funny because obviously people are a little skeptical at the first glance, but the show is impressive, and the way this thing moves, the way that you watch, and and the way that the concert is with the orchestra, the way the evening flows, it's the whole thing, and you're right about that.
Alex, I wonder how it feels to know that your dad, even though he passed away nearly 30 years ago, is still as present today on radio. I mean, there's no greater thrill when I look at my playlist and I see Crying or Pretty Woman or any of those anthemic songs, because it keeps your dad alive both in memory and in music.
Yeah, and quite literally, it does keep our dad alive, and keeps his energy present and available for people. And as sons, we do take this stuff very seriously, and we've also been working on letting people know what our dad was like, and more often than not, one of the first questions is, your dad had the dark glasses and the dark hair. Was he a somber guy? Was he sad around the house? What was he like? Because he was such a mystery, and his actual story has been very protected. And so we as brothers have written a book called The Authorized Roy Orbison that's out now, and it's like a LP-sized picture book, and it has a lot of text. And so we wanted to My dad started the book himself and wasn't able to finish it, and so we as brothers have collectively worked with a guy named Jeff Slate. And written this book that does set the record straight, and it's very entertaining. And another thing we haven't talked about that's been on the back burner that's coming very quick now is we have a BBC4 documentary that's coming early December. So it's a matter of weeks now before. And the thing with this documentary is we've had the Orbison archives where we have footage of my dad talking and home video footage, but we really have been working on trying to figure out what motivated my dad and what his aspirations were and what he was thinking about with his songwriting and how he felt and actually talking about his most tender moments going through his life. And just there hasn't been the right occasion to let this stuff loose, and so we're finally there now. And so it is crazy when you look at everything together. The hologram tour, the documentary for the BBC4, the Love So Beautiful record, the authorized Roy Orbison book and audiobook, and everything's coming together here in the with the BBC4 in the UK, and we couldn't be more excited about everything. I mean, the love that we feel here is giant. I mean, literally people were stopping us brothers on the street yesterday and asking for our signatures and just because of our dad. It really is incredible.
Boys, I've saved this for the remaining seconds of the interview because I don't want to offend you, but I'm never wrong. You can ask anybody around London. I'm never wrong. It's Over is the best song that your dad ever recorded, wasn't it?
Yes, that's Wesley.
Well, you and Wesley agree on that.
Yep. Yeah, no, it really is. It really is. I mean, once you look at those lyrics carefully and realize that's all.
It's an echo. It's the echo. It's the echo to you. That's all. That's all.
That's the wind echoing. And when you realize that the rainbows in the wind are the strings that come by after that, you're like, when you get that deep, then you do realize, it's. And actually, I heard a story that my dad really didn't get high on his own supply, like listening to his own stuff all the time. But When It's Over came out, and it's funny because he must have had a record player in the car because they said he took the acetate and listened to it driving around the lake. Instead of going home, just listened to it, and while he was driving around, and really was, really realized he was on something with that. So.
But Elvis Presley's favorite song was "Crying," so you are arguing with the king.
Oh.
I'm going to be in trouble. I better go, in which case. The new album is out now. A Love So Beautiful is in stores. The tour kicks off on April 8th, 2018. I can't wait to see it. Boys, thank you so much for your time. It's a great honour. I love you, Dad, very much.
That's fantastic. Thank you, sir.
See you.